So I've had 3 very similar conversations with accountants over the last week around how they can charge more for certain services where their time or their effort is greatly impacted, such as if they are working with a client whose books are not in very good order, in which case for certain services that you provide, it's going to take you a lot more effort to get them to where they need to be, or whereby the client might live a greater distance away. So for in-person meetings, you're gonna have to go and travel to them or go and meet their staff or whatever it is that you have to do. Then obviously that's gonna take up more time and more effort and more fuel, etc. Or whereby, let's say you get a client and you have a favored software that you want your clients to use and they don't want to use that software, they want to stay on some old school software or whatever that is. How do you charge those people more? Because it's not going to be as easy for your team to go and access it and to be able to do what they need to do. How do we charge more money for these things where your time or your effort is greatly impacted? And the answer is you don't. You don't charge extra for these services because that is seen as punishing. So if they come across to you, they feel like they're being punished and charged extra for not doing exactly what you want them to do. There's actually a better way that you can do this, whereby you still get what you want, which is to charge these people more, but where they are not seen as they're being punished. And I first learned this when I was a magician. So many years ago when I was still at school actually, I was a close-up magician, and I live in Yorkshire, and occasionally I'd get gigs in London or further afield, and so I would charge more money because I'd have to charge travelling expenses to get down there obviously, or I wasn't making as much cash. And so for the first few times I did this, I would stick an extra 50 quid on or an extra 100 quid on to the gig for the fact that I was going down there. And what I quickly learned was, why should I punish these people? Because the way they see it is, should I work with me who's from Yorkshire and is going to have to travel all that way, in which case they're incurring extra costs? Or why don't they just find somebody in London? And I didn't want that to be a decision for them. So all I did was I upped all of my prices by £100 per gig. And then if anybody was in London, they just pay that price. And if anybody was in Yorkshire or within like a 60-minute radius of where I lived, then I gave them a local discount and knocked the £100 off, in which case they were rewarded by doing or being where I wanted them to be. So that's how you do it with your services. So all you need to do is up your prices for certain line items that you have in your service that you provide. And then if they have their books in impeccable order, you give them your impeccable special rate for impeccable books, or whatever you want to call that, a better name than that. In which case you would maybe knock them 10% off or 20% off or whatever that looks like. Another one is that if they live further away, again, and you have one of your services is in-person meetings, then all you do is you increase your price. And then if they are within a local radius, you give them a local discount or preferential rates or whatever you want to term it as. And then again, the final one is whatever software you use, that's absolutely fine. These are the softwares that we work with, and you come on board at this price. However, if you use this software, we have specialist team members trained up in this software, which means we can again offer you a preferential rate on annual accounts and VAT returns and payroll, etc. Because our team of experts can process this work much quicker. So if you wanted to move over to that software, then you'll be able to get a preferential rate on these line items. So that's how I would always pitch it. We don't want to be punishing anybody because all that's going to do is annoy people. What we want to do is reward people who have the behaviors or the software or the location that actually benefits us. And it's just a far, far better way of doing it. You're not going to lose any money by doing this way, but you're just going to make sure that everybody's happy who is working with you.